September 18th, 2073. It has been exactly 26 years since they first arrived. Looking back over the history of literature, the many depictions in past novels, the countless tellings in science fiction lore of how aliens would finally arrive and make themselves known to us, had never in truth come close to describing the reality we faced. They never captured the depths of our sheer and utter dread when it did finally come to pass. Some of these accounts were, of course, laughable. But in truth, nothing would have prepared us for the actual experience of their coming, or the imposition of their physical being, or of the undeniable acknowledgement of their superiority to us in every way. The technological advancements alone of their ship and their tools were simply beyond our imaginations to comprehend, and in their presence we were so overwhelmed that the bravest of us were left trembling and speechless. We were nothing more than ants in comparison. I can remember in minute and vivid detail the sight of their ship slowly traversing our globe, as if surveilling us with ominous and impending predation. Any of our aircraft sent to demonstrate a bluster of defiance were rendered powerless miles from reaching them. Rocket and defense systems would not even function. We were simply at their mercy, and that truth was unavoidable. The suspense was unbearable. Nearly every human being, no matter where, was watching the newscasts, awaiting the ultimate revelation of who they were and why they were here. Were we doomed? Only the unbearable ticks of time would tell. Then finally, they landed. Minutes later, but what seemed like hours in the psychological time of apprehension, they emerged to appear before us. "Hi, everybody." The nature of their colloquial greeting was completely shocking, as was the immediate warmth and friendliness in their tone. If they meant us any harm, it instantaneously no longer mattered, as any remaining thoughts of self-defense just melted away. We were simply and utterly subjugated by the strength of their charms. No display of weapons could have so efficiently achieved our surrender. Later we found out that all over the world people had heard these same words in their country's own native language, even down to the most distinct and localized dialect, and still in this same disarming and convivial tone. Finally, they began to explain in great detail why they had come. First, they politely pardoned themselves for the years they had been held up in coming to visit us, explaining that they were uncontrollably delayed by something that pertained to the dynamics of intergalactic travel and astrophysical exigencies. Our mouths were anyway still agape, and our minds abuzz, if even a handful of people had any sense of what they were talking about. They then explained how they were part of a team of travelers that wandered throughout this particular universe, charting all the known civilizations of any significant degree of advancement, and that there were a total of 748 known societies that they had so far discovered over the millennia of their explorations. Showing us star charts, they pointed out some of the most notable civilizations they had found, and regaled us with richly woven stories of the incredible things they had seen. We listened in silent awe. Then, the bad news. According to their hierarchical rating system, which took into account hundreds of factors in consideration of the levels of advancement of any of these societies, we were ranked dead last, 748. I remember particularly seeing the look on one of their faces when they delivered this news, displayed on television for all the world to see. And yet I wondered who else had taken notice. The expression seemed to me, in that fleeting moment, to be more of a deep and humane empathy, and more revealing of their true thoughts and feelings than the most poignantly written prose of our own inner experiences. I think it spoke of sadness, but not of disappointment. It was more the deeply felt remorse when one beholds the irony of tragically unnecessary and wasted potential. The hollow well of shame I felt at that moment I cannot describe. Nevertheless, they welcomed us unreservedly into this family of civilizations, and said they would return periodically to check in, which has turned out to be about every few years or so since. They also told us of their friendly intergalactic competition, which they called the War of the Worlds, where each period the participating civilizations would present their most proud accomplishments. We were invited to join if we wished. A number of years later, I saw a talk by a noted social psychologist who explained that collectively, humanity was going through the mental and emotional stages akin to what individuals experience when they are faced with the diagnosis of a terminal illness. First, we denied their assessment. Last place? That's ridiculous. This was followed by a period of angry indignation. Last place? What do they know? Then we bargained. Perhaps they were wrong. Maybe they need to re-examine their findings. Soon, though, a worldwide depression seemed to set in, as we reluctantly admitted the bitter truth to ourselves. The stories we heard of other planets' accomplishments were frank evidence of our shortcomings. But then something miraculous happened. We refused to go through the phase of acceptance. This, we insisted, would not be our final chapter. Our positive beliefs of what we could be capable of, and our fighting spirit was kindled. I suppose this is a trait most unique to us humans, and maybe something quite special. Last, let's show them what we can do. Since then, what has transpired has surpassed any vision we had imagined for ourselves mere moments before. Everyone everywhere now seems galvanized to achieve one goal: to be our better selves. It is no longer enough for any one individual or country to succeed. We all must win together, or somehow we have all failed. People help each other. We smile. A lot. Surprisingly, the inevitability of war was the first thing we managed to vanquish. It didn't hurt to know that this one accomplishment gained us many points in their rating system. But more than that, I think we all just at once realized how pointless it was. Why were we hurting each other? World hunger is now a thing of the past. No one is poor or without decent shelter. Everyone receives free medicine and health care. Recently, we've decided to have a contest to see who could write the most inspiring anthem for our world. Listening to some of these entries, I could see in nearly everyone's face a flood of proud tears flowing from each other's eyes. No one seems to talk about the selfish needs of any single country anymore. Something has changed deeply in me. I'm no longer ashamed. In fact, early on, I used to dread their visits. Now I miss them so much that I count the time until their return. The universe no longer seems to me a cold and senseless place. If I ever don't understand what or why things are as they are, I think of them and feel myself deeply at peace. On their last visit, while we enthusiastically reported to the aliens our latest projects and ideas, I could swear that the same one in whose eyes I had years before seen that enormous sadness, I now saw the briefest hint of a smile and a look of proud approval. It was the briefest glint, but like the expression of the happiest parent who first sees their child ride forward on a bicycle without their help, a young bird in newly found flight. I've never aspired so much to be more. The last report? We're now number 736. So look out, Centaurians. There are incredible things that we humans will be. Our future awaits.